Hey there, Heather, hello there, Chef Cutter down walking to yet another Stone Cold Hockey video. We're going to be doing a special tribute match between the 1984 Vancouver Canucks and the 1979 New England Whalers of the WHA. Reason being is this guy, John Garrett. He played in the World Hockey Association from 73 to 79 and the NHL from 79 to 85. He was a broadcaster and all that. I grew up in a family of seven, born in Trenton. He was actually picked by the Blues in the NHL draft 38th overall. So that was amazing. He went to the Central Hockey League and then he went to the American Hockey League and then the World Hockey Association. Basically, you know, had some problems and all that. So, well, he went to the WHA. He would play for Minnesota before they folded, then signed with Toronto, and then went to Birmingham and then was traded to the New England Whalers. He actually has the record for the most losses of any goalie in WHA history. Anyway, he actually assisted on Gordie Howe's final goal, which was in Montreal during the playoffs. However, it was actually retroactively given to him in 2025. Garrett would actually play for Hartford, Quebec, and Vancouver in the NHL before retiring at the start of the 85-86 season. And all that. John Garrett actually was supposed to be the All-Star Game MVP in 1983 for the Canucks. Richard Brodeur was injured, and since Vancouver needed a representative for the All-Star Game, they decided to give John Garrett his spot, Brodeur's spot. He actually was good and all that. He was the game's MVP before the end of the game. However, somehow, in some way, there was a revote, and Garrett lost the MVP to Wayne Gretzky, who had that 4-goal in 10-minute thing. He became an intermission analyst during the Stanley Cup playoffs as an active player. And anyhow, Hartford missed the playoffs, so CTV put him out there. John Garrett actually was offered the position of assistant GM by Harry Neal, so Harry Neal would want John Garrett to be his backup, but unfortunately, because Neal was fired, the offer was withdrawn. Garrett then went to Hockey Night in Canada as a color commentator. He was assigned his first conference final in 1991. He had 8 straight conference finals. He was basically alongside Chris Cuthbert for the calls, or I guess Don Whitman, because Bob Cole and Harry Neal were the #1 guys. He actually be the color commentator for Edmonton local telecast, leaving CBC in '98 to join Rogers Sportsnet, becoming a studio analyst on national broadcast and a color commentator for Calgary games out west. And then in 2003, he would become the color commentator for Canucks games, being partnered with Jim Houston, the iconic broadcaster who left CBC, and John Shorthouse. So it was basically Shorthouse and Garrett for Vancouver. He's had some network assignments and all that, but nothing big. Anyway, he actually retired from Canucks regional broadcast in 2023 and became a part-time guy. So anyway, Garrett was known as Cheech because of Cheech and Chong. He actually had a goals against average of .649, which actually was Canada's lotto thing. It was launched in 1982. Anyway, John Garrett was known for his obsession with ketchup and all that because it was the sauce that made everything taste good. He died at age 74, April 28th. That's today, 2026. And he was actually the color analyst for the Mammoth and Vegas first round playoff series in 2026. Because I was like, whoa, wait. I guess Sportsnet had that one. Because I know Vegas and Utah played game 4 yesterday and Vegas won. So he played for Peterborough in the OHA. And then got drafted by the Blues organization, went to the WHA, went to Hartford for 2.5 years, being traded to Quebec late in the '82 season to help them their playoff round. He was 3-2 in the playoffs. He didn't play much in the playoffs for the Canucks because King Richard Brodeur was there. So that's what happened. So anyway, we're gonna have the battle of the Garretts probably. So we're gonna simulate till someone gets to 3 wins. Well, autoplay. Canucks won 4-1 as Brodeur beat Suitcase Smith. Vancouver goes by Darcy Rhoda, Stan Smeel, Neil Ballin, and Mo LeMay. Weather goal by Mike Rogers. Game 2 sees New England tie it up. Smith beats Garrett. New England goes by Lacroix, Rogers, Lacroix, and Pine McKenzie. Vancouver goes by Tanti, Tiger, and Sundstrom. Game 3 sees New England win 6-4. Smith beats Garrett again. Vancouver goes by Tanti, Gradine, Rhoda, and Cam Neely. Yes, Cam Neely was a Vancouver Canuck before they traded him to Boston because they wanted 50 goal scorer Barry Pedersen, who flopped. The Will with Gordie Howe, the legend Gordie Howe, Dave Keon, Mike Antonovich, Andre Lacroix, Antonovich, and then Lacroix again. Game 4 sees Vancouver win 5-3 as Brodeur beats Garrett. Vancouver goes by Lance, Molin, Tanti with the hat trick. The Whale goes by Warren Miller, Blaine Stoughton, and Mike Rogers at 2-2. Game 5 goes to the New England 3-2 as Smith beats Garrett. Vancouver goes by Smeel and Tanti, Pye McKenzie, Lacroix, and Gordie Howe for the Whalers. So anyway, we play game 6. John Garrett was the main goalie for the 84 Canucks. Richard Brodeur has had some things and Frank Caprice. But yet, Vancouver wants John Garrett, so that's fine. New England will go with Al Suitcase Smith. Garrett's backup. I could go Garrett versus Garrett. Why the hell not? You only live once. Anyway, let's look at the 84 Canucks. You had Tony Tanti, a decent player for Pittsburgh and Buffalo afterwards. Patrick Sundstrom, who went on to New Jersey and did well. Darcy Rhoda, Stan Smeel, number 12 in your programs, retired number. Thomas Grandin, Rick Lantz, Gary Lupul, Cam Neely, who once was a Canuck before going to Boston. Tiger Williams, lapelli leader. Mola May, Yuri Gillis, Doug Hallwer, who was coveted by Harry Sinden for Boston and it bit him in the ass. Neil Ballin, Yuri Bubly, Michel Petit, who later going to the Nordiques and the Leafs, among others. Lars Moline, Harold Snaps with that mustache and no helmet. Andy Schleibener, Mark Curtin, Ron Delhomme, Kitchener, look it up, people, and Peter McNabb. Yes, that Peter McNabb, who is going to be a color commentator for Avalanche games. The Whale have Mark Howell in it, and of course Marty Howell, Andre Lacroix, known for his WJ scoring abilities for many teams. Mike Rogers, Dave Keon, the Leafs pushed him into the WJ and became a WJ icon. Gordy Roberts, who would play over 1,000 games in the NHL. Warren Miller, Mike Antonovich, Pye McKenzie, former 2-time Stanley Cup champion with Boston. The immortal Gordie Howe, George Lyle, Alan Hanselman, Rick Lay, another former Leaf. Ron Plum, Jordy Douglas, Brad Selwood, another former Leaf. Jim Warner, Blaine Stoughton, I think he was a former Leaf too. Larry Plow, Jack Carlson of Slapshot fame, Dave Inkpen, what a name, Pierre Roy, Jeff Brubaker, and that'll be all. So the Battle of the Garretts. First moment, 3 minutes into the game. 5 minutes later. Agitated chance for New England? No. 3 minutes later. The Whale, it's Roberts. Can the Canucks score? They do! Power play goal. The 2-ton Tanti. The tantalizing goal is 7 from Gardine and Smeel. Makes it 1-0 Canucks. 3 minutes later. Let's go! Mike Rogers is 4th. We're tied. Blues take a chance. Canucks take the chance. They're blue. 1-1 after 20. 2 minutes later, Enforcer Aggression. There's a fight between Cam Neely and Alan Henlesman. Surprised Cam Neely wanted to fight. That ruins them for 5 minutes because of how good he is. 4 minutes later. Next year. That's my Boobala. His first from Snaps and Grenadine. Snaps. 4 minutes later. Power play goal. George Lyle. Pyle. No, Lyle. Pyle. From Lacroix. Well, Lacroix, I guess, doesn't score a lot of assists. Tiger scores. Hold that Tiger. His second from Grenadine makes it 3-2. But they come back. Lacroix. His sixth from Antonovich. 3-3 tie. 2 minutes later. Much later. Others with the hit. I think it's on Schleimbanner. They score! Power play goal. Hangs Laban? What is a Laban? His first from Lay and Lacroix. 4-3. 3 minutes later. Injury? No penalty though. Thank goodness. Much later. Emptied. Looks like this game is over. Mons takes a shot. It's over, and the New England Whalers win the series 4-2, and John Garrett does get a W for the Whale. They harpoon the Canuckles 4-3. It was a battle tooth and nail. Vancouver had 3 leads. Nobody had a 2-goal lead, but Garrett beats Garrett because, come on, it had to happen. So the final stats. Vancouver, Garrett was 0-4, Brodeur 2-0. So John Garrett was the bad guy. 4-3-2 goes against. Tanty 9 points, Gradine 9 points. For the Whale, Elsif 3-1, Garrett 1-1, Lacroix 8 points, and then Rogers and Mark Howe. Yeah, Marty Howe must have not wanted to score points. Weird. Well, anyway, that's all we wrote. And anyway, that is the end of it. I'm actually shocked. John Garrett was an active color commentator when he died. That is just ugly. Ugly. Very ugly. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond, adieu.